Good morning and welcome to Live from the Library. My name is Mr. Fernando and I'm from the Chicago Public Library STEAM team. So, can everybody say STEAM team? STEAM team. And you may have seen me and the rest of the STEAM team across the city of Chicago, maybe at your neighborhood schools. You may have seen us at some of our library branches. You may have even seen us at WIC centers and laundromats. And now we're going virtual and coming to the comfort and safety of your home um, with Storytime and Facebook Live today. Um, so today we are going to talk about the water cycle. And I promise you, by the end of today's story time, we're going to make it rain right where you're at, inside your home. So, yeah, believe it or not, we're going to make it rain. But before we get started, I need to make sure that everybody's wide awake, that everybody's focused, in case you haven't had your coffee yet, or your juice, or your milk. So let me make sure you're wide awake by giving me a good stretch. And let me see you shake your fingers. And shake them high. And shake them low. And fingers like to wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle. Fingers like to wiggle, waggle, way up high. Wiggle them high, high in the sky, everybody. And fingers like to wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle. Fingers like to wiggle, waggle, way down low. Wiggle them low. Touch your toes. And fingers like to wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle. Fingers like to wiggle, waggle on our tummies. Woo! Tickle yourselves. Tickle, 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 tickle. All right, great job. So now that I know everybody's wide awake this early morning, we're going to go ahead and get started. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk about the water cycle today and where the rain comes from, and now that it's getting colder, where the snow comes from. So the way the water cycle works is you're going to start off with your bodies of water, right? So that's your oceans, lakes, water puddles. So any body of water. And I have for you the sun. And the sun warms up our body of water, and that water turns into a gas and evaporates up into the sky. And can everybody say evaporate? That might be a new word for some. Evaporate. And next, right, the water evaporates into the sky, into our clouds, and the clouds go collecting the water, right? And they start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And those clouds start getting heavier and darker, right? When it starts getting cloudy, and they get so heavy, right? Once it can't hold all that water, once it can't hold all that rain, all the water comes back down. It starts to rain. Yeah, all the water comes down and it rains. And now as it's getting colder, it can turn into little pieces of ice called hail, or it'll come down as nice fluffy snow, and it'll come back down to the ground, and our water cycle will begin all over once again. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our story of the morning. And for you today, I have Little Cloud by Eric Carle. And I'm reading this with permission from Penguin Random House. And as we go through this story, we're going to see the shapes of the clouds change. And feel free to shout out or type in the comments the different shapes you see the cloud. Go ahead and take a guess, all right? Send me a comment and let me know what shape or what object you see. The clouds drifted slowly across the sky. Little cloud trailed behind. The clouds pushed upward and away. Little cloud pushed downward and touched the tops of the houses and trees. The clouds moved out of sight. Little cloud changed into a giant cloud. Next, little cloud changed into a, what do you think it changed into? What animal is that? What does it look like to you? Yeah, a sheep. Sheep and clouds sometimes look alike. Little cloud changed into an, what does it look like? An airplane. Little cloud often saw airplanes flying through the clouds. Little cloud changed into a, yes, a shark. Little cloud once saw a shark through the waves of the ocean. Little cloud changed into, what do these look like? What are these? Into two trees. Little cloud liked the way trees never moved away and stayed in one place. What's next? Little cloud changed into a rabbit. Little cloud loved to watch rabbits dash across the meadows. Then little cloud changed into a hat because little cloud changed into a clown and needed a hat. The other clouds drifted back. They huddled close together. Little cloud, they called, come back. Little cloud drifted towards the clouds. Then all the clouds changed into one big cloud, and it rained. It rained and it rained and it rained. The end. Yay. So as you saw in our story, we were able to see the clouds collect that water, right? And they got bigger and bigger, right? They got heavier, they got darker. And then once they turned into that big giant cloud, what happened? Yes, it rained. The rain came back down to the ground. And now I'm going to show you how we can make it rain ourselves right where you're at. So what you'll need is, you'll need any container, any plastic container, anything to hold some water. So I have a plastic bin. You can use a tupper, you can even use a bowl, you can even use a cup, anything that can hold some water. And you'll want to fill up your container with some water. And you'll also need some cotton balls. All right, get a couple cotton balls. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use some food coloring. And if you have some at home, you can use some food coloring. I'm going to use blue. Of course, you feel free to use any color you like. And if you don't have any food coloring, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to add a couple drops of food coloring. And stir that in there. we got our body of water. We've got our water. And so what did we say at the beginning? Bodies of water. And we have our sun, right? We have our sun high in the sky. And you can use your imagination and pretend that maybe the light that is on in your room can be the sun. And the sun warms up the water, warms up our body of water. And the water, what was that word I taught you? Evaporates up into the sky, into our clouds. So you're going to use your imagination, and we're going to pretend that our cotton balls are clouds. And right now at the beginning, you're going to notice that your cotton balls, your clouds are smaller. They feel pretty light. They feel very light, actually. All right. So the water is going to collect in the clouds, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to dip your cloud into the water. And go ahead, pull it on out and keep it right above your container. That way you're not dripping water. And take a good look and make an observation of your new cloud. Does it feel the same? Do you notice any changes? Does it maybe feel heavier, right? Does it maybe look a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker? And mine definitely feels heavier, and it looks slightly bigger. And you can see the color, you can see the water, right? So it evaporated into our clouds, and our clouds get bigger and bigger. And what happens when it can't hold that water anymore? When it can't hold those water particles? It rains. Yeah, it rains, and the water comes back down to the ground. Or now that we're getting closer to winter, right? It starts to get colder, and it slightly freezes, and it can come down as snow or as hail. So yeah, you can go ahead and reuse your cotton ball, right? And start the water cycle all over again. Put that aside. You go ahead and grab another cotton ball, right? Another cloud. And what did we say? The water is going to evaporate into our clouds, right? And our clouds are going to get bigger and heavier and bigger. And when it can't hold that water anymore, when it can't hold the rain anymore, it lets it go and it rains. And our water cycle begins once again. All right. So I have an important question for you. Super important question. Probably the most important question I have for you today. Who out there wants to learn to become a super great reader? Who wants to learn to become an amazing reader? Raise your hand. Drop me a comment. Yeah, I hope all my friends are raising their hands out there. And I know you're all already practicing and learning how to read. And as you get older, I promise you, you're going to become even better readers. But there's 5 things we suggest at the library for you to do, for you to become super amazing readers. So everybody repeat after me, please. Talk, sing, read, write, and play. And those are your 5 early literacy practices of reading. And believe it or not, all 5 things work together to help you become super awesome readers. So what are they again? Repeat after me, please. Talk, sing, read, write, and play. We got one last special song to help us remember those. So everybody get your clapping hands out for me one more time. Get those clapping hands out. And our final song is going to go like this. Talk, sing, read, write, play. Talk, sing, read, write, play. Talk, sing, read, write, play. Makes a reader every day. Very good. Good job. You should be so proud of yourselves. And now that we know all the words, Let's go ahead and sing it together one more time. Because I need help from my friends. I need help from my team. Ready? Talk, sing, read, write, play. Talk, sing, read, write, play. Talk, sing, read, write, play. Makes a reader every day. Very good. Round of applause for everybody. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me for story time live from the library. And make sure to join us once again next week, same time, 10 a.m. Central Time, for another edition of Live from the Library. Everybody have a great day. Have a good week. And please remember, everybody, to stay safe. Bye-bye.